So, you know, pity poor Marouane Fellaini comes up with the last-minute winner for Manchester United, but it's José Mourinho who all the photographs are about because of his ridiculous over-the-top celebration where he smashes the water bottles to the ground. It's almost like he wanted to be the attention. It's almost like he's an attention seeker.
Yeah, yeah.
A narcissist.
Yeah, it's on the back of a lot of the papers. The Star have gone with José's got bottle, and you just look at him. What age is José now? Is he 50 yet?
51, 52.
You think, like, a middle-aged man, is he not embarrassed looking at those photos?
No, he loves it.
Well, he does love it, but, you know, you think he should be embarrassed. 55. Like,
He's well put together, José, all the same.
Yeah, in fairness to him, but it's just, he has to become the story. He's so calculated. Like, Darren Maloney told me a story once about when Darren was doing a commentary in a Champions League game, and he had to do the mix zone interviews afterwards, or the flash interview straight after the game. So he ran down and he got, he had a local camera guy booked to do it. So it was a typical Mourinho interview, the one we've often seen, where he's monosyllabic and sulky and, you know, muttering under his breath. And it was very short. And at the end of it, I think Darren put out his hand to shake hands and he just turned on his heel and walked away. But Darren was waiting with the guy who was packing up his camera, and he noticed that Mourinho stood over to the side. And he waited until the camera switched off, and he came back over to him and he shook Darren's hand and said, "Sorry about that, it's just something I do." So that's a level of control and calculation that goes into everything he does. That an interview with a TV station that has no relevance to his life, really, he still had to...
He knows it can go viral,
play up to the image. Yeah, that's the thing.
Like, he's totally aware that if, you know, Mourinho storms off Irish TV, it'll...
And he did say years ago, for him, the game starts with the pre-match press conference the day before, so that's all part of the game. And all this stuff, it's all part of the gig with him. So.
I mean, it's a bit old hat now, though, isn't it? Like, if you're Luke Shaw, you're looking at that going, yeah, good man, José.
Yeah, and it's like a last-minute winner against young boys at Bern, who have no Europe... Yeah, at home, who've... Their only European pedigree was getting to a semi-final in 1959. So, you know... And yet, once again, relying on David De Gea, you know, like, where would United be the last few years without him? It's just, it'd be nowhere.
The story from, which I think the Sun had yesterday, that Duff was in talks with Celtic. Obviously, he talked about it last night. RCE said, yeah, he would absolutely love to be involved. Sean Maloney has left the gig as the under-20 coach, which I think doubles as the reserve team coach. So I know Duffer was over there last week.
Yeah,
having some chats with them. Andy Moran says that he walked into the changing room and somebody said to him, "Geez, some of these lads are young enough to be your son," and he was like, "Not sure I like that." Said it was the most intimidated he was ever walking into any Mayo dressing room. That's Mike Finnerty's story.
Right.
I hope it works out for Andy Moran and Mayo. I'm like,
absolutely. No, well, I know Kieran Shannon, I think, wrote about this in the summer as a scenario, and it's a very seductive one. Well, not for Dublin fans, but that Dublin or Mayo finally get to the promised land by stopping Dublin, winning the 5 in a row, with Andy Moran coming on to do the Seamus Derby role and getting the last minute goal.
That'd be all right.
That's you couldn't.
No one's turning that off.
No.
My special one. Fellaini sent United to Champions League knockout stages. Reverse Samson with no hair. It turns out Marouane Fellaini's actually really good at football.
Yeah, the Herald have gone. They've actually looking ahead rather than looking back to last night. Just saying, on the big game tonight, Liverpool away to PSG, and saying both Neymar and Mbappe are fit. So, be an interesting game. Yeah,
looking forward to that. That's because obviously PSG can go out. Schmidt standards are here to stay. That's Gordon Darcy saying it's okay. Don't worry, no one needs to be worried too much. And then he's got a piece about Johnny Sexton as well. The other, that's obviously the front of the Times. The other main stuff in the Times really is about the GAA stuff. So obviously there was a press briefing yesterday. New rules for football defended by committee. This is the chairman of the GAA Standing Committee on Playing Rules, David Hassan, who came out yesterday and strongly defended the changes that they're making. Changes are hard set on the GAA. New football rules are a big adjustment. So there's been a general sense that they're trying to change too much too soon.
Yeah, I think that...
I have some sympathy with we've got one chance here, let's push everything through.
Yeah.
And on the other side, it's like, well, how do you know which one works?
Yeah, that's the problem.
What's the cause and effect?
Because the game could become unrecognisable. So you're going, you know, what changes here are actually working, or some of them adding to the problem. And I think that there's a big problem as well in that they're trialling them in the league. And for a lot of counties, the league is actually a bigger deal than the championship. Because to do anything, to have any ambitions in the championship, you'd probably need to be in Division 1 and you'd at least be in Division 2. So for Division 3 and 4 counties, they have to get promoted. Like, that's their year.
Yeah.
So that's why, remember the celebrations when Carlow got promoted last year. You know, and it was the first time in over 30 years. And also, you would wonder, if they hadn't got promoted, would they have beaten Kildare? You know, a good league, a good league campaign can do a huge amount for a team. So this thing just, it creates so many problems. Even things like players playing for their colleges and their clubs will be playing with different rules to when they're playing for their counties a couple of days later, which is mad stuff.
Yeah.
And what it asks of referees is crazy, because referees, everybody can see they're overloaded. They're far too much on their plate in a game that's got far faster than it was a few years ago. And how they're supposed to be counting hand passes and working out where a mark was, an attacking mark was kicked from, etc. It's just, it's too much.
I think players also in the league are more willing to play on the edge from a physicality point of view. So the referees already, like...
It's also a great competition, and they've kind of ruined it. Like, it's a great competition to watch because they're evenly matched teams. Like, generally, you get a lot of quality games in the league. And I think the hand pass thing is attacking a symptom, or no, something that's not a problem. There's a symptom of a problem. The problem is a negative mindset of coaches, but people seem to think hand passing is a problem. Whereas you can get so many great scores from attacking hand passing moves, as we saw with maybe the goal of the year this year from Corofin, which had 16 hand passes in a row. So hand passing in itself isn't the issue. It's, you know, it's negative passing, but like from this has been trialled out in some I think college games, and what's happening are after 2 hand passes, people are kicking the ball backwards. You know, so the mindset is still there. Yeah. That's not changing the mindset. So,
like, which will actually lead to far more stuff being criticised. Like, the famous bit in the Slotneil game last year that went viral, where it was like 2.5 minutes of the 3 lads passing the ball back and forth across their own 40 or halfway line. I can't even remember which it was now. Like, they'll just walk up to each other and kick it to each other. Yeah, of course. What's the difference?
So if nobody's putting a press on you, it's easy to do a short kick pass. So I have a feeling, because they're coming in for the McKenna Cups, O'Byrne Cups, McGrath Cups, etc. So I have a feeling 1 or 2 of them might be binned after that, because I think there will be huge backlash when people see them in operation from players, managers and the public. And
I do think that we need to change certain parts of it, right? Yeah. And that there should always be the ability to change rules. Yeah. The difficulty with this one, it's going to be hard to diagnose. Maybe the mark for the forward is going to be successful. Certainly it will reintroduce the 6'6", like, teams will be scouting basketball players to play in the full forward line, who you pump the ball into, they can catch it and fist it over the bar from 20 metres. Like, it's totally doable. It's basically a free shot if you get a giant in there. Maybe that's what we want. Sounds a little bit like Aussie rules to me. I'm not sure we want it.
Well, I think a lot of these sound like Aussie rules to me, to be honest. And I think if you look at a lot of the rules that have come in recent years, they're all rooted in Aussie rules. Like, there does seem to be an infatuation with the way they do things there. So.
Is that like Stockholm Syndrome from the executives heading over to...
Possibly. Well, they're now got over with hurling as well, so they love the place.
Well, you know, the Aussies can't teach us anything about hurling. He says nervously. Okay, so CPA insists defeat of motion is a clear sign of contempt. This is the beginning of a long war. So Donegal Boyle has this story this morning. Divisions between Club Players Organisation and GAA deepen after a hard-hitting statement. So the CPA came out and issued a pretty straightforward statement saying that the organisation is fast becoming a corporate elitist body. This is the type of stuff that rings bells for people. Like, now, whether or not it is true, certainly there are enough people out there who believe it to be true for it to be an issue. So Roscommon had come forward with a motion where these same rule changes were discussed, and had called for a blank canvas approach to fixture making, but it was voted down at the Central Council meeting. Apparently, in the statement, it says the CPA have said that not all county boards were given the opportunity to discuss and debate the motion before the Central Council meeting, that The CPA circulated this to all counties on the 7th of November. We distributed it on Monday, November the 19th. There was an initial oversight, but within 30 minutes we had redrafted and distributed the agenda again. The motion was left off the first draft of the agenda in error. So...
It's very odd. You'd like to get an explanation for all that, wouldn't you?
I mean, it seems unfortunate that the thing that isn't from within the organisation is the thing that doesn't get the same treatment as the things which are coming from within the organisation, and then you fix it afterwards when it gets pointed out to you. It's like, oh, sorry about that, lads. It's
unusual, and it's hard to figure out how that happened.
What does it signify? Like even if it is just an error, like what at a Freudian level, what is that telling the people?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because you mentioned that about suits thing, and remember Alan Milton was on with Joe around the New Bridges Nowhere time, and he was really. You could tell how annoyed he was about this thing, the suits in Croke Park thing. But people do have that perception. Even if they hate that within Croke Park, a lot of people have that perception now that there's an elite there and they're detached from it. And it doesn't matter if they say, oh, we coach an underage team or whatever. They just think these people are removed from reality. And then they read something like that and that adds to the view. There's no way of getting away from that.
Yeah, and like, I mean, would it have been an entire can of worms to bring this, to have the vote to say let's have a blank canvas? Like what is the issue with the blank canvas?
I don't see any issue with it. No, I can't see why not.
No. You can put a standing committee together to look at the rules. You can put a standing committee together with a blank canvas that has involvement from the CPA, the GPA, the colleges bodies, all the proper vested interests who are going to go and fight their case and then say we agree or we don't agree, or here's the bones of it. And at that point, if there's civil war after that, fair enough.
Yeah.
But at least you're trying to avert it. Whereas this seems to be the CPA saying, right, that's it. Yeah. Time to get your war footing on.
Yeah.
And
yeah, well, like most papers now are going with like virtually everything's a Mourinho. Now they have Philip Lanigan on the back of the Mail has his GAA president, John Horan, playing down the prospect of a standoff with the GPA over the GPA's annoyance over the rules being tried during the league. But I think the GPA are a bit slow off the mark with this one because, okay, fair enough, they mightn't have known it was coming in for the league, but I think they should have been engaged. Well, I'm not sure the details. Were they engaging with the GAA authorities for a long time on this, on these rules coming in that have a huge impact on their members? But I just remember, if you go back to the motions over super rates going to Congress, and the GPA didn't say anything till really close to the vote. And you think sometimes they give the impression of being asleep at the wheel. Whether that's the case or not, I don't know. But you do see, like, there are a lot of people. You know, we talk about people being cynical about Susan Croke Park. There are a lot of people are cynical about the GPA because they see stuff like the Fenway Classic in Boston. An 11-a-side version of hurling that doesn't look like hurling, and I think these guys are all about junkets, and I think that's unfair because I know a lot of the good work GPA do, but perceptions are important. There's a lot of people within the GAA have no time for the GPA, you know. So I think they need to be on top of stuff.
Everybody's cynical in the GAA at the moment.
Everyone's cynical everywhere. They should be though.